This week on a spooky episode of the PSPremiere Podcast, special guest Nate McLellan gets an unannounced visitor.
Oh, there's a knock downstairs. That's weird.
I make a chilling confession. Oh, by the way, I killed this guy. And special guest Nate McLellan says he's afraid.
I'm kind of like, I'm afraid.
Hello and welcome to the 39th episode of the PSPremiere Podcast. I am your host, James Smith, and today I'm joined by Sebastian Cardoni.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. You can follow me at LittleSeb93.
Dorian Ford.
I'm Dory. I go by she, her pronouns. And ever since I changed to the pescatarian diet, things have seemed a bit more fishy. Thank you. That'll be all.
Okay, and Nate McLellan, special guest.
Hello,
Returning.
I'm Nate McLellan. You can, returning. Thank you for having me again. You can follow me on Twitter at Interrada_.
Thank you for joining us once again. So what have you been playing this week, Nate? We'll just kick this off with you.
I have been playing Super Mario 3D Land. Booted up my 3DS, and I just wanted to play some good old Mario platform in action. And I'm in the special worlds now, which are very difficult compared to the main game. But that's been my handheld choice when I'm away from my console. And then still trucking through Final Fantasy IX, middle of Disc 3. There's some dark stuff in that game that just sneaks by you. So I was kind of surprised when I was playing it earlier this week.
I'm not too familiar with any of the Final Fantasy games apart from 7 Remake Part 1 and 15. A bit of a blind spot for me, but I understand, like, do they all have like a really different tone from, because I know obviously they're different stories, it's an anthology and everything, but like tonally are they quite different?
They, for the most part, yeah. It just depends on like the setting, I feel like. And then like 9 goes back to, so like 7 and 8 were more like realistic and like kind of futuristic stuff, and then 9 goes back to like the classic Final Fantasies where there's like magic and crystals and stuff like that. So it's got like, I wouldn't say cutesy art style, but it's more not even chibi like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's less realistic proportions compared to 7 and 8. So like a lady was like, oh, the black mages blinded me, now I can't see my newborn grandson, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, all right. And then a new game that released today, I've been playing that a lot as well.
Ah, yes. So not much then.
No, just busy with work and
Fair enough.
Life stuff.
Fair enough. Yeah, I haven't been playing too much this week either. Dory, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a few games over the past week. I've been really busy with school to juxtapose Nate being busy with work. So not a ton of stuff, but I do have a few. Last Saturday, I was streaming Ratchet & Clank 2016. I'm really enjoying the game so far. I think the guns are really fun, although I do agree with you all that some of them seem to lack like a kick in the animation with the way that the enemies sort of react. I think the puzzle sections aren't too tough with Clank, but they're enjoyable enough. I had my first boss fight, which I thought was pretty challenging. I think I died once. And then got him on the second try. But yeah, definitely a interesting and challenging fight. I have not really gotten to play as much as I'd like. I've either been busy with homework or been like just not able to stream, not up to it. Let's see. And so I've been really enjoying that. I also played a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 3 last night. I had gotten my second shot yesterday, and so I wanted to relax by fighting incredibly stressful bosses on critical mode, which, always a good idea. I did pick the easiest bosses, Larxene and Marluxia. So I had a really good time getting my ass kicked for a while, and then eventually doing a big comeback. So that was really fun.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I imagine Kingdom Hearts is one of those comfort games for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That and like doing the boss fights, I think puts me in the zone. Like it keeps me. I have to have complete focus on the fight. so it's like when you're playing Tetris, right? Like you're not able to think. There's been studies about this, I think, but people who play Tetris have like recorded like less anxiety and stuff like that because they all they can focus on is the Tetris, right? They think about Tetris or when they're playing Tetris, like it's just a stress reliever for them.
I got to take up Tetris then.
Yeah. But yeah, so I played some Remind DLC, basically some some of a couple of the bosses, and managed to beat 2 of them before Resident Evil came out, which was great. And then the last boss the last game I want to talk about is Yakuza 0. I have been absolutely loving this game a lot more than I thought I was going to. I've been hearing about the Yakuza series for a long time, so I've really been wanting to like dig into it. I had an issue where my controller hooked up manually to my laptop would get disconnected and then it would freeze and I would lose data. I think I lost an hour of data at one point, and I almost didn't go back. There's also a really awful side mission with a Michael Jackson impersonator that I thought was bad for a lot of reasons, but just mechanically was incredibly awful. Yeah, so I fixed that by figuring out the wireless connection to my laptop, and I haven't had a crash since. So I'm really glad I went back to play it. The combat's really fun, really good. Yeah, I mean, it gets a little repetitive, but I don't mind. I think it's very flashy, very fun. I was introduced to a new character. It's not much of a spoiler. I think he's literally on the front cover, right? But Majima, who wears the eye patch. Hot take. One of the best character introductions in a video game ever, possibly of any media ever. I just fell in love with this character immediately. I loved everything about him, and then just his deeper backstory. Plus the voice acting is phenomenal. I love Majima. I will back this man till I die, probably. I just got to chapter 4, which has me going back, I think, to Kiryu. And I won't lie, I had a little bit of me like, I kind of wanted to keep going with Majima. But I really like Kiryu too, so it's nothing against Kiryu for sure. The side missions are excellent by and large. There's a couple that are really kind of rote seeming, like very like mundane or your average side quest, but they get resolved in such nice ways, or such like the voice acting's always so good and the writing's always so good that I don't mind that I kind of see what's coming, right? One side mission has a guy who's trying to propose to his girlfriend through crosswords, and I'm like, oh, I know what's going on immediately. Like people do this in movies and whatever, maybe in real life, I don't know. But yeah, that's Yakuza 0. It's still a very pretty game on my gaming PC that I use now. It's especially in the cutscenes. I mean, honestly,
traitor.
That's me. Honestly, I would have picked it up for the PlayStation, but it's on Game Pass. So, oh yeah, I guess that makes me more of a traitor. Digging that hole. So yeah, I'm really loving it. Majima has some really cool styles. I'm really excited to do more side missions with him. I think the only frustrating part I've had so far is towards the end of chapter 3 with Majima. It's kind of an escort mission a little bit, but they have a mechanic where you can hide in groups. And it's okay, but it goes on a bit too long, and they force you into a few fights anyway. And I just almost always hate escort missions. Pretty much everybody does, right? It doesn't do any favors to the person who's being escorted or to the person who is escorting. So I always hate those, and I'm glad we have less and less of those in video games now. But yeah, besides our RE8, I don't have much else that I've been playing. I've been playing a little bit on my Switch here and there, but nothing major.
Okay. And obviously we're not going to talk about RE8 on this podcast at all because we don't like new releases. It's all old stuff here. No, we will talk about RE8 in a little bit. But Seb, what have you been playing? It's your turn now.
No problem. I've been playing Halo Wars for the first time on PC.
All these Xbox playing people on here today.
Yep. Phil Spencer sent me a nice check in the mail, so next week you're gonna see me with a beanie and a shirt, with a Phil Spencer shirt and everything.
What a nice guy.
Yeah, right.
Just send you money.
Yeah, I'll tap dance. Just send me a nice paycheck and I'll tap dance for anyone. So I've been playing Halo Wars. It's a really good game. It's an RTS, which I'm not usually into, but I've been having a fun time with it. The story is pretty good, and the cutscenes are really great. I mean, I could tell it's an older game because I think it came out like early 2010s or something like that, or maybe late 2000s or something like that. But but the PC it really enhances it. I think it's a definitive edition, so that helps too. So yeah, I want to go through the whole Halo series before Infinite comes out. So, um, I want to say though, like I know this is a PlayStation podcast, but like like when you like life hits you and you get hit with a giant dental bill, a Game Pass service really comes in handy. And you don't have to spend $70 for like a brand new game. So that's
Yeah,
Game Pass is great.
for sure.
Um,
It's one of those things though where and not to say like it's an incredible deal, and I'm glad that it exists, but also it's the kind of thing that only a company like Microsoft could sustain.
oh yeah, for sure.
Because like they're losing money on that. They've got to be.
Yeah, I agree. But consumers first, right? So it doesn't affect us negatively.
For sure.
So I've also been playing Pokemon Snap, the new one. I love it. It's absolutely great. It's everything I wanted. It feels exactly like the same. It feels like the old game, but it just modernized and brand new. There's a lot of. I'm really impressed with like all the like photo mode you can do with it, like all the filters, and you can spend hours with that game in one area. Like, and I love that there's a different there's a day and night cycle, so like you always see something different. And I don't know if it's random or not, but no, I think it goes by levels. So it's like level 1 or level 2. It changes the whole area. So you think the landscape, and then a Pokemon just shows up in a different spot. So and then they go ahead.
It's really nuts though. Like everyone keeps praising the customization and how in depth you can customize your images and stuff, and everything like that, and you can make some really cool stuff. Everyone keeps saying. I've been having such a hard time trying to take anything that looks half decent. I don't know if it's like the resolution or the fact that you can't move your sort of person around freely. You're on rails now. That's kind of the conceit of the game. But it limits so much in terms of actually being able to take nice photos. But I suppose, and I mentioned this a little bit last week. My issue is that I'm not thinking about it as what it is, which is an on the rails shooter. Pretty much, I keep thinking of it as a place where I'm going to get some really nice photos, which is not the point, I suppose.
No, this is like baby's first photo mode. Like this is like for people that don't really dwell on it like you do, but like just want just enough where they can go on Twitter and post a nice picture or something like that. It's not as in depth as like Red Dead or Last of Us Part 2 or anything like that. But
which is kind of funny to me how this game is about taking photos, and it's like one of the worst photo modes available.
I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's basic.
It's not like DMC5 bad. Like
No.
DMC, if you ever used the DMC5 photo mode, it's literally
I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
you press a button, and it opens the photo mode. You can move the camera around like a very small radius around the character, and nothing else. There are no other options. You can move the camera around. That is it. So it's very bad.
But in terms of the look of the game, this is the best I've ever seen Pokemon look. It makes me sad that Sword and Shield couldn't look like that. Because when I think of a next gen Pokemon game, this is what I'm looking for. Like obviously, it's not groundbreaking. It's not 60 frames, 4K. It's a Switch, but the people that made this game knew how to get as much as you could out of the Switch with this game. The environment's really impressive. All the Pokemon are really impressive.
Wait until you get that open world Arceus game, then you're just gonna blow your mind. Hopefully,
but that frame rate in that trailer that they showed was
that's
some
true.
pop-ins and
that's why it blew your mind. 10 frames per second, man.
But yeah, if we get a Pokemon game like that, like on a Switch Pro, man, that's what I really want. Like, Pokemon. I'm a diehard Pokemon fan, so this is exactly what I wanted from a Pokemon Snap game. I'm so glad they finally did it. I'm surprised they didn't do it with the Wii U because the Wii U was kind of designed to be like a tablet. You can still do it with your Switch, but it's amazing they waited this long to do this. But
do you think, as a lifetime Pokemon fan like yourself, do you think that you would have been upset if they had taken away the on-rails segment and let you walk around?
would I be upset? I wouldn't be upset, but I would prefer to keep in the same
on-rails
style. Yeah, like it'd be nice if they had like a mode where you can have like a free roam section or something where Pokemon run around you or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd be
like
cool.
Camp and Sword and Shield.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been cool. But no, I mean, like Pokemon Snap is not exactly like this groundbreaking game. It's as basic as it gets. You just go on rails through an environment and take pictures. But it's just really good. So
Yeah.
I recommend it. If is it $60 good? I don't know. It's a Switch game, so you're gonna have to pay $60 anyway. So just deal with it. But I think it's worth it. So I really like it.
I just
It's
wish
it sounds like one of those games that doesn't do a lot, but what it does do, it does well.
Yeah, it's a great like fill-in game too. Like if you're just like sitting around, you want to play something for like 10-15 minutes, you want to go through a level, take some pictures. It's really relaxing.
Truly,
what's nice?
Truly the roguelites of Pokemon.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like when you got like Returnal, and I know Resident Evil Village probably has people on edge if they're not used to these kind of games. Like this is a nice, like relaxing, casual game. You could just sit down and just watch a movie and play or something. You know what I mean? It's not like you need these games in between the big ones. Yeah. So, but don't like play this and then jump into Returnal or something because or Dark Souls or Bloodborne.
And, I got this.
But yeah, so I'm also playing Resident Evil Village, which we'll talk about. So,
yeah, I've not been playing much either. I have not been playing Resident Evil Village. I believe I'm the only one here who hasn't been playing it.
What have you been doing here?
I just can't be bothered going out to get it. I might pick it up during the week. I probably will pick it up during the week.
That's fine.
But yeah, anyway, I did finish It Takes Two. Dory, I don't think you've finished it yet, have you?
I have not finished, so please no spoilers.
I wouldn't anyway.
I trust you on it. I'm just saying.
If I could just talk in broad strokes about the ending, though.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that, and I know, I won't say too much, but I think it satisfies. It satisfied me personally. It's not like a big twist that you might be hoping for, but it is certainly not as cut and dry as it could have been. There's nuances to it, which I really appreciate.
That's what I've heard. So
yeah, so I think it's a really heartwarming story just in general, and they do a really good job of tackling, themes of divorce and sort of how that impacts the children and that kind of thing.
Nothing more heartwarming than destroying a loved one's stuffed animal. So
exactly. That scene was just ridiculous.
So fucked up.
But yeah, I've also been playing Battlefield 5. Because obviously free on PlayStation Plus this month. I don't know if we didn't cover that last week, did we? Did we? No, we didn't.
I don't
recall.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah. Anyway, you could one of the PS Plus games this month: Battlefield 5, Stranded Deep, and for the PS5 it was Wreckfest. Battlefield 5, I've played it on PC. I've mentioned that on previous podcasts, but I'd never actually played it. But this time I actually did play it, and it's really fun. I think I don't think it was like this at launch. I think they've improved it, but it's the most fun I've had in Battlefield, I think, since Battlefield 3, and that's a bold statement.
Are you talking about the multiplayer or the campaign?
The multiplayer.
Okay.
I have no cause to touch the single player
because I didn't like the campaign at all. I didn't like the structure of it.
Yeah, The thing is, I think because I played through, they had the same setup in Battlefield 1 where it's these sort of smaller stories that you play through, and those are great. Like, they're really well made and well told stories, and I think that works with the time period where it's kind of like, okay, here are these stories that we've sort of taken from real life, and you can play through these sort of exemplary stories of the time, and it's these sort of snapshots of what it was like to go through that. And I think that does work, but at the same time, I agree with you, where I think and I think this is what you were saying, was that the sort of linear structure of, like, say, a Call of Duty campaign or the Battlefield 3 and 4 campaigns are better, just more fun, sort of easier to just jump in and play through.
Yep.
Yeah, so, but as I said, I haven't really touched that. But the multiplayer is really fun. The building mechanic is the one thing that I did want to touch on, because this is a thing that they didn't have in Battlefield 1. Basically, you can build up like sandbags and bollards and stuff and defenses around the map that can be destroyed. But I mean, I've gone whole games where I've literally just been running around with a hammer, just building stuff up, not shooting anyone, just trying to build, because it's a really addictive mechanic. It's surprisingly fun just to go around building stuff. And it's not complicated. All you need to do is hover over a silhouette and press a button a couple times. But it's strangely addictive. And I kind of wish there was a mode where you could build stuff and it didn't go away at the end of a match. But yeah, Battlefield 5, surprisingly fun. And I hear the new one may be announced very soon. So, yeah, I believe that's everyone. Great. So, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8. You guys have all been playing it. How far have you all gotten through it? Without spoiling anything, of course.
I just beat the second boss and then I saved. So, that's where I'm at.
I've basically gone through the whole castle, but I am hungry to make those
Like the
red
wolf.
spaces into blue spaces. So I'm getting chased a lot by a tall lady. She's got like a hat. She's kind of, I don't know if you heard about her. I just want to like describe her. Anyway, yeah, so that's where I am. I'm just kind of like using resources to get resources kind of mode right now. I really want to complete the castle as much as I can. Lockpicks do not break after one use. That's not how it works. God damn it. Anyway, sorry.
I am right before a cutscene that I believe we saw in the trailers, and then I had to save and turn it off. So
yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about too.
I do too. Yep, we were talking about it in the lounge. Yeah, I'm just a little bit. Well, yeah, I'm maybe like 15, 20, even a half an hour past that, but not much further.
So you'll be the furthest then, Dory, right?
No, I think I haven't gotten to the second boss. I don't think.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I think I'm the farthest.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Seb just mainlined it right to or streamline, whatever. He just like beelined it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
he beelined it right to the thing.
They're both like right next to me though. They're like Dory, like she doesn't know. I guess it's a spoiler that the boss is coming up, but like she's. Right
I figured. I
like
kind of figured.
Yeah. And you know the boss is what you think the first boss was. So
yeah. I'm pretty sure I know what the first boss will be, and I will not be surprised, and I will be very sad when I have to kill the boss.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah,
go ahead.
what are you thinking, Seb, so far?
So you know me. Resident Evil is my favorite franchise. Period. In video games, I'm a diehard fan. So my expectations were a game that's going to probably be in the 8s, which is what it looks like it is going to be. Like it's like 85 on Metacritic, right? Something like that. 86.
Yeah, correct.
And that's exactly what I expected to be. Yeah, like this game is very, very good. I don't think it's on the level of 4 or the Resident Evil 2 remake, but I do think it's in that second tier of Resident Evil games.
Better than Resident Evil 3, not as good as Resident Evil 2.
It's way better than Resident Evil 3, the remake.
Of course, yeah. Not a high bar, if we're being honest.
Yeah. like those two games I mentioned are like A pluses. This game's like an A or A minus, I guess you could say, for me personally. What I like about it is it has a good mixture of like the Resident Evil 7 elements of like stealth and in the first person. And it doesn't only have stealth, but it has like but you can take it slow and sneak by enemies if you want to. You don't have to fight everybody. Like me personally, I like I'm very used to the genre, right? So I know how to play it very well. Where conserve my ammo, dodge enemies, don't fight everything you see. I can imagine like in the beginning of the game, it's not really a spoiler, but I imagine a lot of people that don't know the genre are going to waste all their ammo on the first fight when you don't need to at all. Like yeah, I have max ammo on all my guns just because most of the time I can just run by the enemies. Because this game does have a tendency of all you gotta do is get in a room, and then the cutscene kicks in, and then all the enemies just stop following you. So you don't have to fight everything you see if you play it that way. And if you explore, this game encourages exploration. If you do not explore in this game, you might have a lot harder time than somebody that does, because there's a lot of ammo everywhere. There's a lot of money. There's money to collect, like Resident Evil 4. And what the money does is you can buy weapon upgrades to make your handgun, your shotgun. I think there's a rifle. I haven't got there yet, but it's in the store. You can upgrade all those things, and you can also, and then there's like treasures you can collect. So there's like little crystal fragments and crystal rocks. It's kind of like Resident Evil 4 where they hide them in very specific, like on the wall or in a painting or something, and you got to shoot it down or on the ceiling. And so you got to really explore and keep your eye on everything. This game does feel like Resident Evil 4 in first person, because this game is an action game. Because you're constantly getting chased, or you're fighting or you're running away from something. You're running away like even in like a battle, you're usually getting chased, and there's like things coming around you, or like if you're running down a hallway and like monsters are beyond the side of you, and the game just wants you to go down one linear path, and that's it. You know what I mean? It kind of has like that linear, like kind of like how Resident Evil 3 Remake was, where it takes you to one spot. Like, you know what I mean? Like in the Raccoon City section right in the beginning. There's only one way to go. That's kind of how this game is. You're just encouraged. You can only go one way. Like you can explore like an open area, but you can't really. There's no like big area to really explore. Just usually just one or two rooms you can explore, and then you go one way. You know, it's a typical Resident Evil game. You know. And there's a big. It's like there's a map, and you go to the map, and you find a key, and the key unlocks something. You solve a puzzle. You know, it's a typical Resident Evil game. It doesn't do anything new, obviously, but I think it's really impressive. So I don't want to keep talking for 20 minutes, but I'll let you guys say something.
Yeah, Nate, do you want to go?
I like this game a lot. I think that Resident Evil 7 took the best elements of like the original trilogy, you know, with like the survival horror aspects and being more horror focused. And then I think this one really takes after Resident Evil 4 more than anything else, which is good. 4 is not my favorite in this series. It's good, but I prefer 2, like original 2 and then remake 2 first.
Careful, I'm pretty sure Seb is Resident Evil 4's #1 fan.
Uh-oh. Oh, there's a knock downstairs. That's weird.
Kind of. Like Resident Evil 4 is
coming from within the house.
Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game of all time, but Resident Evil 4 as a Resident Evil game, I would not put it #1. I would say Resident Evil 2 original is the greatest Resident Evil game of all time.
So Resident Evil 2 is your favorite game of all time, is what you're saying?
4. Oh, as overall, but in the series, 2 is the best.
Okay.
Yeah. So I agree with him.
Crisis averted.
Yeah.
Crisis averted. I'm safe, everyone. I got in the safe room. I'm very familiar with the survival horror genre, and even in that first instance that Seb referenced, I wasted a lot of my ammo because I was like, okay, maybe I just need to like run and hide, and then nothing was happening, and I was like, all right, maybe I need to like go out there and fight some of these things.
Yeah. To be fair, in that section, this is maybe a little bit of a spoiler, but you know, a cutscene triggers during the fight, right? And it doesn't make it clear that it's going to happen. So you're kind of just like running in circles and trying to hide, and you don't know why, like what you're supposed to do, and then it just kicks on.
And it's weird because as soon as the next cutscene does happen, you can hear like an ethereal voice saying like, "Where's everybody going? Bingo?" But anyway.
I had that same thought when that was happening. I was like, oh,
I did
man.
too. I immediately quoted Leon. I was like, "Where's everybody going? Bingo."
My first time with my first time with that section, I was hiding in a corner like underneath a house, and like the enemies were like crouched outside like doing this number, and then they started coming in, and I was like, oh fuck. And, so I started shooting, and I just died because I couldn't like push past them or like kill them, and I was like, that's probably honestly how it would go if you put me in this situation. It's just like cowering in a corner, like but...
Yeah, I so like Seb, I played quite a few Resident Evils. I played the Resident Evil 2 remake, the 3 remake, which is good, and Resident Evil 4 as well. I played Resident Evil 4 on a few different consoles. I played 5 co-op. I don't think anything comes between 5 and 7, so I'm not going to address that. And I played 7 most recently. So I'm very familiar with the genre. I was like a chicken with my head cut off. Like, I was just going every which way. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Where am I going? I was like running around, like trying to hide. But then, like Nate said, like the enemies would come in and I get swarmed. And then I'd have to go down a ladder or crawl out a building. It was incredibly intense, and I loved it a lot because I thought for sure, I'm like, I'm dead. I have no idea what's going on, what I'm supposed to do, and this is the most thrilling thing in my life currently, and I'm going to die.
And a good thing about I'm playing on. You guys are all playing on standard, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this game has a very, very forgiving checkpoint system. Like. Yep. You can literally click retry and it'll take you right like at that section. So if you like feel like you wasted all your ammo or you lost all your health and you're just like low on ammo or low on like supplies, you can just like retry and it takes you right there. So it's very forgiving. I don't know if hardcore is like that.
I'm a very lousy shot and I just don't trust myself on any difficulty higher than standard.
No, it's understandable because even this game is definitely more improved than 7 on the aiming, but it's still not great. Like it's still hard to aim.
I think
I found it mostly rewarding in terms of the aiming and in terms of the combat. Like I think the combat's really good, but I can see someone. I certainly struggle, but I don't know. I'm hesitant to blame the game because I'm such a poor shot. Like pressure gets to me so easily in those encounters where I'm like, yeah, I missed, but like, of course I missed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think. I played Resident Evil 7 my first time on easy because I was just like, I just want to I want to see the story. Like, I don't want to have to deal with the survival elements. And then going back to that, like increasing it to normal and like just trying to play, it was incredibly tough. And like I struggled to get out of like the first part of that game just because of how tough it was. So I was like, so Resident Evil 8 so far has been easier on normal difficulty than Resident Evil 7 was, and I don't know because of like how like good the gunplay feels. Like it feels a lot better than 7, but it's nothing like Destiny 2. Like you're not gonna be running.
It's not Doom Eternal. Like I have a way easier time aiming in that game than this. I mean,
I feel a little bit of like offness. I think it's like honestly, it is a little bit like playing RE4. Like I feel a little bit of offness when I am aiming, but I've gotten used to it now and adjusted to it, so I don't feel the struggle of aiming.
I got when I say it's like it's not great, it's not like bad, like it's not like it doesn't ruin the game or bad. Like it's not bad or anything. Like, I haven't had any problem killing enemies or anything like that.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's serviceable for the game.
It's
like
fine.
You won't have a difficult time getting through it.
Now, I would say this game so far for me, I'm playing on standard. I'm on the second boss. So far, this game to me is I want to say very easy, but it's definitely easy. Like I have had 0 issues for pretty much most of the game. I haven't died yet. I have more. You only died once. I had more than enough ammo and more than enough health for everything. I don't know if that's just me, or if the game is just easier. Because it's like 7, I had a hard time with 7. And I think it's because there was a lot more stealth elements, and you got punished a lot more. Like especially the first section where you're constantly getting chased. This game is not like that at all. This game is an action game first and foremost.
Now, I don't want to brag, but I also haven't died at all in Resident Evil 8.
Damn, James dropping the bombs on us. I do want to address or talk about the fact that this game is gorgeous. It is a very pretty game. I do think I have bad news for James on the front that I don't think the photo mode is anything to really talk about.
I heard that it doesn't let you exit first-person camera.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which makes
when you described Devil May Cry 5's photo mode, I was like, oh, that's why this one is so bad, because they set the precedent with 5.
Yeah, Capcom doesn't like doing good photo modes, apparently.
It does not. I haven't really found any. I've taken a couple of pictures. One of a spooky castle, one of spooky background, one of a spooky tall lady. But
I mean,
for the most part, yeah.
I am half tempted to get it on PC so that I could shoot it with third-party camera tools, but I don't know that I'm that interested in shooting it to begin with. I think I'd rather just play it, because I'm not huge on the zombie aesthetic. It's weird because Resident Evil has a really... It's kind of a different zombie aesthetic. Like, it's not hordes of zombies. It's more like very few amounts of very heavily detailed and creepy zombies and sort of falling apart buildings and that kind of thing.
Yeah. No. Yeah, like I get what you're saying. Yeah, like usually you're in a hallway, there's like 2 zombies or something. Like outside, there's a cutscene will have hundreds of them, but and then you're actually in game. This one is a little different because this one, like in the beginning section, there's literally like 30 enemies thrown at you. You constantly have to be on the move.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I can see.
That sounds like
the introduction. I would say honestly, this is one of the strongest introductions to a Resident Evil game since maybe RE4, which I bet is not coincidental.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like the very beginning? Because I did not like the very beginning, but like
I don't mean
the
very
game
beginning.
started.
Yeah. I don't mean the very beginning. I'm still very okay. So let's talk about the plot for a second.
Sorry, can I just have one thing to say, sure. You were saying there's like a bunch of it throws like 30 zombies at you at once at the start.
Oh, Lycans, yeah.
Because that sounds like what they did with Resident Evil 2 Remake that I really liked, where you're on your way to the police station and there's just a ton of zombies around, and it's sort of conditioning you in a way. It's sort of telling you that you're not going to be able to kill all these zombies, so don't waste your ammo on them, and that sort of conditions you for the rest of the game.
Well, now that you say that, I'm looking back on the series. Resident Evil 2, the original, does that. Resident Evil 3, the original, does that. Code Veronica does that. So a lot of Resident Evil games actually do that.
It's smart game design.
Yeah, definitely.
I didn't even think about it from a game design perspective. I just thought, like, the first time I played Resident Evil 2, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of these things. Like, I gotta go.
I wouldn't have either. I just remember Andrew Reiner on the Game Informer show back when Resident Evil 2 Remake came out mentioning that. And I thought, wow, that's a really good point. Because it does do that.
It does. Yeah. And I've since learned that I can run around enemies. I've only done it a couple times. Most of the time I will fight just because I want to see how the gunplay is, and I also just kind of want to kill things. Like I don't really want to run away from enemies most of the time, unless it's Lady Dimitrescu. Then I really have no choice but to run from her, which is unfortunate because I would anyway.
And you figured out how to pronounce it.
And I figured out what?
You figured out how to pronounce it.
That's right, I did, and I only figured it out because she is complaining to you that you've upset the balance in her castle, and she names the castle. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's how you say it, Dimitrescu.
Yeah,
you is silent apparently.
Honestly, you can get away with doing that, like shooting a lot of enemies in this game, as long as you explore. Because I feel like I have more than enough ammo, beyond. I'm getting to the point where I'm running out of space.
Oh, you can. Yeah, I have been fighting. I laughed earlier when you said this, Seth, but I've basically been fighting every single enemy. I've even taken a few shots at Lady D. I hope she will forgive me. Because I just wanted to see what happened, right? Because when you shoot at Mr. X, right, in Resident Evil 2 Remake, and his hat comes off or stuff. Like, so I was kind of aiming for a hat. I wanted to see if there was any continuity between hats or anything, but I missed terribly because I was too nervous. It's like, okay, she's coming down the stairs. I've got a good shot at her, and I missed. Or I like hit her, but like not quite where I wanted to.
Yeah, because I haven't shot at those people at all. I just run by. All I gotta do is run around the couch and go right through the door, and they stop.
It's like a sitcom. It's sitcom. I literally had a moment when I was in one of the wine rooms because they got a lot of wine rooms. Like I was literally around the table with one of those like enemies that were shown in the Maiden demo and also shown in the Castle demo, and I was like, like go left, go right, and then I'm like, fuck this, I'll just shoot him.
Now, yeah. With that said, sorry, go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna ask if you guys shot in a weapon out of one of the enemy's hands, because I did it accidentally and I have not been able to pull it off again.
No,
I have done it twice. I did it once unintentionally, and then I was like, oh, it's kind of like Resident Evil 4, and then I tried to go for a shot to the leg, and I could not suplex them, so I was very sad.
After I did it, I immediately pulled out my knife and I was like, come here.
What about that military training, Ethan? Where are the suplexes, god damn it?
Yeah, I always aim for the head, just like naturally. What I was gonna say is there is a section though. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. Like, you know, there's like those hooded guys you've seen in the trailer. That's all I'll say.
I would err on the side of caution.
Yeah. So there's those hooded guys. You're in a linear path. You have to fight them. You could I guess you could draw them out and then run around the table to avoid them, but it's just not necessary. If you play this game kind of like Demon Souls or like a Souls game where you're very patient. You don't just run through a hallway or run into a room, and you just like look by like the corner of the, you know what I mean, like of the room, and take your time.
Like siege peek, yeah.
Yeah, like if an enemy's getting too close to you, you can just back off and let them swing, and then you just shoot them. Like if you play this very patiently, this game is very easy. Like this game is tough if you're just like thinking it's Call of Duty and you're just gonna run through it and just start blasting everything. But like I said, I don't think this game really punishes you as much as other Resident Evil games for blowing all your ammo. I think like one thing that makes me cringe when I watch people play Resident Evil games for the first time, which is understandable. I don't judge people, but it does make me cringe when people blow all their ammo on sections where like I'm like, can you just run past the enemies and go through? Like the section of Resident Evil 2 in the remake and the original, where you're kind of thrown in the city and there's a bunch of zombies just thrown at you. I've seen people just stand there and shoot those zombies. And I can't watch. I have to turn the video off. I'm like, I can't do this. Because then you watch professional players, they're like, I can't even do this. The way they zigzag like perfectly, even with tank controls, is so impressive.
I used to be so good with tank controls, and then like now that it's like, you know, better, I'm like
Like I said, with that said though, like Resident Evil 2 like remake, if you use all your bullets, that game you couldn't play that game anymore. You would be screwed. You would have to play the game over again. This game, like I said, this is more of an action game. This is Resident Evil 4 in first person. Like this is literally Resident Evil 4 because this game doesn't really feel like a Resident Evil game to me in terms of like the look and the enemies and everything. This feels like a Bloodborne game. Like it does. I don't really. The designs of everybody doesn't look like a Resident Evil game. It kind of looks like a gothic. They're all like mutant people, but there's no like. I'm sure there's a biological explanation to it, and I'm starting to read the documents and everything like that. But it's still kind of like on that edge of like beyond realism anymore. Like in Resident Evil, all the monsters were like created in a lab and stuff. This one's getting more on the supernatural side. Like it's kind of. It's walking that line, but it's kind of getting to the Silent Hill side too much now.
You were the one that said every Resident Evil has a supernatural element.
Did I say that?
You did say that.
It has like it does kind of. There's always a biological component to it, like even like when Wesker's doing Matrix powers and things like that. He has the virus in him. Like there's an explanation to it, but this game is getting absurd.
Maybe that's what you said.
I feel like it's the difference. I feel like it's the difference between Marvel and DC, right? Because, and I'm not saying this one way or the other, good or bad, but just an observation, right? A lot of the superheroes who were created in the '60s by Stan Lee and all the other great writers there. Spider-Man was bit by a radioactive spider, right? Fantastic Four went into space and they got hit by this magic meteorite, right? Hulk, nuclear stuff. With DC, you know, it's just like, well, Superman's, you know, he's just from another planet, or you know, there's literally magic in that universe, right? I'm pretty sure there's magic in Marvel, right? Doctor Strange, but there's generally like Marvel tends to go more with like there's always a scientific, or there's often a scientific explanation, right?
Right.
X-Men, right? One of the biggest superheroes ever, especially from the Marvel universe. It's mutations, right? It's genes, it's genetics,
right.
So Marvel has always been more science focused explanations for superpowers, and DC's always a little bit more like ancient gods, ideas of like Greek gods and stuff like that. Superman, exactly. Wonder Woman, that kind of stuff.
Yep. That's the difference between Resident Evil and Silent Hill. Resident Evil always has a scientific explanation to something. This game does too, but it's just gotten absurd, like the designs of everybody and how this whole village, having like this, all these mutated, like that's how Resident Evil 4 was. Like Resident Evil 4 was like this village, and it had all these like super mutant people. And
stuff we hadn't seen before.
Yeah, because before Resident Evil 4, everything was like it was in Raccoon City, or it was in a mansion. Everything was undercover, underground. Now it's like out in the open. You know what I mean? So it's getting on the absurd, but it's still fine. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying like it definitely doesn't feel like Resident Evil at times. I feel like I'm playing Bloodborne in first person, which is not a bad thing. But it really looks like Bloodborne, especially the Lycan enemies. Like those are literally enemies in the game in Bloodborne. So
they just copy pasted.
If you told me this was Bloodborne first person and I had no context, I might have believed it. Like
there is one cut scene where like some stuff goes down, and light spoilers. They're all around a table, and they're like, oh, let us pray. And then they start talking some crazy stuff. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I'm good.
That's the scene I was talking about. I was like, this is getting like, this feels like I'm watching like an X-Men like thing or something. Like, you know what I mean? It just got on the absurd, like, beyond.
It kind of reminded me, I've never seen the movie because like I'm kind of like, I'm afraid. I don't like horror stuff I like horror stuff, but I don't partake in it as much as I did because now that I own a house, I have to like, if anything supernatural breaks in, I have to take care of it, and I would rather not. But Midsummer, it kind of reminds me of that, where it's like, oh, okay, and then like stuff happens, and you're like, all right.
Right. But yeah. So what else was there to talk about?
To talk about the plot and very vaguely, right? Yeah. I'm very interested to see where this is going. I think the motivations of the I can already kind of guess at some of the motivations of the villains, but I don't know if I'm right. I think it ties back into 7, which wouldn't be surprising. But yeah, I mean the very introduction of the game is very it goes 0 to 100 real quick, and I'm very curious how they explain certain characters' actions from that scene. So yeah, I'm very much invested and interested in these characters and the plot. I agree with Seb that some of the stuff is just kind of like can't really, like, even the T virus and the G virus and all that shit, right? Like, that's science fiction. But at least, like Seb said, at least they're trying to claw at some sort of explanation. But here it really feels like Capcom's like, fuck it, werewolves and witches, who gives a shit at this point?
Exactly.
We're gonna stamp Resident Evil on it, and you're gonna play it, and I am, and I love it. I am all here for lichens and witches. Somebody in this game literally says lichens and gentlemen, and I just can't get over how good that is, how shitty that is, and how Resident Evil that is, all at the same time. And it's like, we couldn't have done this if we didn't go all Bloodborne, like Seb said. So I love it. I'm here for the absurd shit.
Love Resident Evil is a cheesy series, and that's why I love it. It doesn't take itself serious. It never did.
Yeah.
But it's still great.
It's Jill sandwiches all the way down.
Absolutely.
So in summary, Seb, you would liken this game to Resident Evil 4, yes?
Yes, this is literally Resident Evil 4 in first person. Like, I'm curious if the Resident Evil 4 remake is going to take a lot of stuff from this game, like assets and things like that, because I don't know if this game's going to tie into it at all. like I'm waiting for like the Lost Plagas like story to tie in
insane.
somehow because it just feels like so similar. I don't think that's where it's going, but I was just like, it just feels so much like Resident Evil 4 that there has to be a connection in some way. You know what
All
I
of
mean?
a sudden, Ethan just starts roundhouse kicking lichens and stuff.
No,
Overall, I would very much recommend this game so far. I'm only, I think, 3 or 4 hours into the game, but I'm super hot on it right now. Not the game, the emotion. And it's very good. I'm very much enjoying my time, and it may supersede 7 if it continues at this rate. And I liked 7. I thought 7 was great. So
I think it's already way better than 7. Like, don't get me wrong, I like 7, but I think this is more of what I'm looking for from a Resident Evil game. Because I've always said this on the podcast that I'm not a huge fan of stealth horror games, like the first person horror, like Outlast or Alien Isolation, or like I'm just not a fan of that. I like having the ability to fight back, and just being smart with my ammo and my item, things like that.
If I enjoyed Resident Evil 7, but I thought it was slightly overrated, do you think I would feel the same about this one?
I think you'd have a better time.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. I mean,
I don't even think 7 is overrated. Honestly, I think it's pretty appropriately rated. Mostly 7s and 8s.
I agree with Dory. Like most people think 7 is. I never seen anyone say 7 is like amazing. I think everybody kind of agrees that 7 is just good.
It's a return to form, and when you have a return to form in a franchise, it makes it seem so much better than it is because it's not whatever came after 5 and before 7. I can't remember that number right now, and I refuse to. Thank you.
Yeah, because
I'll defend 6. That's a bad Resident Evil game. Fun video game to play.
I watched my roommate play like 20-30 minutes of 6, and I was like, "This looks like fucking hell. Why would you do this?" And
6 was literally a Call of Duty campaign.
Yeah.
Like there was explosions literally every 5 seconds. I'm like, is this
Resident Evil lore, which is cool.
It did have some really cool story elements, and like I just thought it was like they had like 5 campaigns in one game.
Yeah.
And they were all like 20 hours long or something like 10. They felt like 20 hours long. And it was just, I felt like I was just doing the same thing. And they overlapped. So you were kind of playing the same thing over and over again. But that game was fun with like co-op and stuff like that. I had fun with it. It was just a forgettable game. Like once I turned it off, it was like, once I beat it, I was like, okay. And then that was it. Like it didn't have any impact at all.
Yeah.
But before we move on, I just want to say, God, Ethan takes such a beating. I don't like it. When I talk about the absurdity of Resident Evil, and I'm like, there's no way somebody can do. This happened in 7 too. I'm like, there's no way somebody.
His reactions are so unnatural. It's almost comical, and I don't know if Capcom is leaning into it and they're doing it intentionally. I think they must be at this point. It has to be because he just has the weirdest reactions, and even in one of the demos, this isn't even that big of a spoiler, but in one of the demos, he's like, why does this keep happening to me? And I think we've talked about this podcast, but like, dude, it's not about you, man. It's not about you.
Yeah, you can like cut him in half. He'd just be like, oh, okay.
He'd be like, fucking hell.
I gotta pour this chem fluid on. Hold on.
He's pouring fluid on his stomach.
It's fucking magical bayou juice. Like, that's what it is. It's magical bayou juice.
My partner watched me play the opening, and in the opening, Ethan gets knocked out with he gets hit in the head with something. And I was like, fucking seriously? Like, do you not remember what happened in 7? Like, a lot of shit happened to you in 7, and you're like, I gotta go on. And then you're like, oh.
I don't want to say, I won't say anything too specific, but I said this earlier in the chat, and I have not seen a man have as many issues with his hands since I've watched Star Wars. This man has got, Capcom's got to look into some shit. They need to see some therapists or something. I'm not worried about their tall lady thing. That's fine. That's what has me worried because
they're like no more hand models.
Hand fetish. Yeah.
I can't believe Dory just spoiled Star Wars.
Sorry, just real quick, because we started talking about the hands. I went back to the demo because I still had some time left, and I was like, are his hands like fucked up in that? And they're not. They're perfectly fine. So
this is a minor spoiler, but he is infected. He has superhuman abilities to recover. Like
from 7, yeah.
From 7.
Oh, is he? Oh, I completely forgot about that plot from 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, like obviously, like you can't just like put your hand back on. Like on
Oh,
Saturday.
you can't? Wait a second. Are you
Yeah.
telling me you can't put some magical Bayou juice on your fucking hand and then connect it like it's a goddamn
Yeah.
Lego piece? Shout out to Marvel for that.
I also think the chemical he puts on, there's like a special, like, it grows your cells back really quick or something like that. I don't know. There's some explanation to it.
It's so
It's
fucking
Resident Evil. Who
stupid. It
cares?
doesn't matter what their explanation
Who
is.
cares?
The main thing is they have to have you have this hand because Ethan has to shoot, and if he's not shooting, it's not a Resident Evil game.
Because he's like, and like, if you couldn't put it back on, he'd be like this the whole game. You wouldn't be able to like, hold the gun anymore.
I love it if his hand. Oh, there's a show or a movie I can't remember which when someone's hand regrows back and it's incredibly tiny at first, and then like it
Deadpool,
goes.
isn't it?
That's Deadpool, yeah.
That's Deadpool. That's right. I would love it if it was
With a
like
baby
Deadpool.
hand. Wouldn't that be amazing if Ethan had a baby hand?
You could
should
get
be a
that
mode.
gun from Battlefield
Instead-
1 that's like really
yeah.
tiny too, and use that.
Instead of big head mode, I want tiny baby hands mode for Resident Evil 8,
Yeah,
and
we want
also
a
that
mod.
way when Ethan is carrying his baby, like he'll have a baby hands for his baby.
I'm sure.
Anyway, it's
a
a good
mod.
game. You should go play it.
Did you guys see the mods already? Where like they made
Yeah.
the tall lady like
Yeah,
Thomas
Thomas
the Tank,
Absolutely
Uh,
horrifying.
and then Barney was like the little like hooded guy, the hooded guys. and
Yeah,
stuff.
the
It was
skeleton
great.
guys. Yep, that was great.
Well,
I love you.
this got weird.
did it?
A
It's
little
always
bit.
been weird.
I can't believe Ethan gets hit over the head with a golf club at the start of this game.
That's really. Oh, I do want to say one last thing. I like the management system, but I don't care for. I really want to comment on this. I've said it before, but the way that they portray the Duke is really messed up. I really don't like it. I think they're just making fun of fat people, and I don't understand the point. I don't care if fat characters are in games. I think it's good to have a diversity of body shapes, but I just think the way that they present him, and especially I've heard later on when you get certain new mechanics, he just loves talking about food, and it's like, can we not define fat people like that? Like that is just such a bad look. Anyway, that's my
Yeah, that's
major
understandable.
gripe
Yeah.
with it.
But and just to talk about the inventory really quick, I really like the Resident Evil 4. I
Yeah.
think Resident Evil 4 is my favorite inventory system of all time. I used to spend like half hour just organizing it. I was one of
I
those
think
people.
everyone did.
It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So I really like that they brought that back. But yeah, but I agree with the merchant doesn't need like to be doesn't need to look the way he does, like that.
Yeah.
It seems unnecessary, really. But
Yeah.
like I don't even explain. Like he's like barefoot and his stomach's sticking out, and I don't really understand his
He
character.
just falls asleep at random points and then
Yeah.
wakes himself back up. It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, I like the merchant a lot better.
Yeah. Oh, I will say he makes a reference to the merchant. I don't know if y'all have heard that line,
I have not.
but it's
I
really good.
accidentally skipped it, and I was like, no.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry for you, Nate. But yeah, I hope he says it again. It's a great line.
Me
I don't want to
too.
ruin it for people, but he makes a reference to the merchant from RE4, the goat, of course. So
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, guys. We did it. We finally did an impressions segment that was longer than what we were playing.
yeah, we've done it. A little a trophy or achievement. Just
It only
popped up.
took 40 episodes.
Damn.
Sorry. Before we leave Resident Evil 8, you said
God
trophy.
damn it.
One thing, I love puns. Puns are like the best form of humor. I was annoyed at the beginning of the game where it's like taking itself so seriously, and skip like 30 seconds ahead if you're like, oh, I don't want to know a trophy name. But after you do the first like big fight, a trophy pops and it says, oh, not liking this. And I
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
come on. I was like, if Ethan had quipped and said, where's everyone going? Bingo. And then that trophy popped, I'd be like, all right. But just because they were like, no, this is like super fucked up shit going on right now. And then it's like, here's a funny trophy. I was like, come on.
That is
That's
the trophy problem.
That's Resident Evil.
Right. Well, we're going to move on to the news in just a minute. As usual, we're going to hear... Seb, what are we going to hear?
A word from our sponsor.
That's right. This episode of the PSPremiere Podcast is sponsored by PlayStation. Play has no limits.
But what about the leaked document that shows you're charging developers to enable crossplay?
Okay, Play has one limit.
And what about the fact that you raised game prices to $70?
Alright, security! Security!
For the payers!
So, who here has played Judgment?
I beat it.
Okay, just me and you, Seth.
Yep.
Would you play a sequel?
Absolutely, that game was fantastic.
Me too. And it looks like we're in luck because just today, day of recording, that is Friday the 7th of May, they announced a sequel called Lost Judgement. There's a trailer, and it's releasing in September. Did you watch the trailer?
I actually did not, so let me watch it while we're talking about it. But what did you think about it?
I thought it looked interesting. It looks like more Judgment. More of the same sort of thing. The graphics look better. The story seems interesting. It's this guy is on trial for something, or this is what I gathered from the trailer. This guy is on trial for something or other. And he's being defended by the characters from the first game. And then all of a sudden, as he's about to be sentenced, he just comes out randomly and says, "Oh, by the way, I killed this guy. Not related to the case, but I've murdered this guy." And then everything sort of runs from there. Because apparently the guy did something bad to him. And yeah, it seems interesting. I mean, it just, like I said, it's another detective story. The only sort of thought that I have, right, is that, and this might not make any sense at all. This might not be right, but with a game like this, like the first one as well, like with a detective story like this, there has to be a lot of like twists and turns, and the ending has to be something that you're not going to expect. And I feel like there would be a lot of thought that would have to go into a story like that. And this game seems to be coming quite quickly after the first one.
Yeah, I can see that, but maybe they had a bunch of story ideas in the back, and just,
maybe
because I think you and I really like crime dramas from what I gather in our conversations. Like
100%.
I love Law and Order. And SVU has been on for like over 20 years now, and they always come up with these twists and turns every episode. So I guess it's not really out of the I guess it's not really unexpected that they can make a great story, in a quick span of time. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
So yeah,
that could be the case. But then also on the flip side, that's the thing. It seems like a particularly difficult kind of genre to write because Line of Duty is a British police drama that's really popular in the UK, and I don't know if it's over now or if there's going to be another series coming, but a lot of people were disappointed in the ending to this new series that just aired because they built up so many twists and turns, and they built up so many expectations over 6 series, and then the sort of twist at the end, it's going to be almost impossible to live up to that kind of anticipation. And like everyone's expecting a huge twist, a really clever thing that they never saw coming. You can't really just pull that out of the bag every time. So it's a difficult line to walk.
Right. No, you're totally right. This genre is very tricky to hit. You gotta hit on every twist and turn, and especially in Yakuza game where it's like there's hundreds of characters. So yeah, I see your point, but I trust this company. I think they'll handle it well.
100%.
If one was interested in the first Judgment, do you have to have any Yakuza knowledge to play it?
You do not.
No, not at all.
I went into it.
I like crime stuff a lot, and
because this is purely a cop drama. Like Yakuza has nothing to do with it, really.
A really good one as well. It's got all the cliches. It's got the previously on, and it's very like film noir, people smoking, and sort of doing court stuff, and detective things.
Yeah, because when I played it, at the time I beat that game, I only beat Yakuza 0. So I had not that much knowledge of the series. So I didn't feel like anything was ruined for me or anything like that.
Yeah, I went in totally fresh. Well, it was my first. I thought it'd be a good jumping on point because it's a separate kind of story. And it was really good jump. And it seems like with this sequel, what they've said is that the next mainline Yakuza game is going to be another turn-based combat one. So it seems like they are doing this thing that I think everyone sort of predicted, where Yakuza going forward is going to be their turn-based combat series, and Judgment is going to run parallel to that with the action combat that the Yakuza games used to have.
Yeah, you know what I love? Because I love crime drama and like cop dramas and stuff like that. I really like the Eastern, like Asian cop drama as well. I love the idea of a cop being a martial artist. Like I love those Jackie Chan movies and like the Hong Kong industry, like the film industry, where he's doing all these crazy stunts. One things I liked about Sleeping Dogs, where like was he? I don't know if he was a cop, but he was like working with them or something like that.
Yeah, he was an undercover cop.
Yeah, he was undercover. So I really love that genre of like martial art cops. Like it's great that they do in those countries.
Reporting, and I've just watched the trailer. That's what I've been doing for the past 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So first off, holy shit, those character models, right? Can we talk about how goddamn gorgeous that game looks?
Yeah.
I also am a huge fan of noir, neo-noir. It's a genre that I find really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't aware this was kind of a more noir-centric game. So I might check out Judgment after I'm done with the Yakuza series. Like I said, I'm only probably like 3 or 4 of them.
And it's relatively cheap to get now. I think you can probably find it like $15-20 like now. So
I don't think I would play it with the dub, because honestly, even listening to the dub on the YouTube video, I was like, I don't know. I'd probably just listen. I would do original voice acting, Japanese, because even there it sounds a bit off.
The dub was good. I played it with the dub. I prefer Japanese usually subs because when I watch anime, but
sure,
the dub was good.
I must be a bit of an outlier in that the only time I ever listen to stuff, like I won't play a game like Yakuza or Judgment in Japanese dub just because that's its origin. For some reason I'll only play stuff with the original language, like Japanese or something, if it's something like Sekiro or Ghost of Tsushima, where it's like rooted in the country's history and that kind of stuff. But with something like I played Judgment with the English dub, and that was, the dub was good, like you said, and they did a solid job of sort of bringing those characters to life. It's kind of tough to maintain. Like, I don't know if you guys get this. This was a big thing for me with Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I played it. There's a lot of dialogue in that game. I played it with the Japanese dub with subtitles. It can really burn me out playing a game for a long time with subtitles.
So the Yakuza series is probably not for you then.
There's a lot of reading. I don't mind. I've been watching Demon Slayer lately with subtitles, and I mean I'm flipping over it. So
I love that show. Fire.
Yeah, I just got to episode 19, which is the episode, of course. But yeah, I feel you on that, James. But at the same time, I really enjoy. Yeah. I enjoy it because it forces me to pay attention. Like, I can't look away, because if I'm and that doesn't stop me from trying every now and then. But like sometimes I'll look away and then I'll have to look back on the screen, and but it forces me to pay more attention than I think I would otherwise. Which is a good thing.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is just the fact that I didn't enjoy Ghost of Tsushima as much as other people. But because I played Sekiro with the Japanese dub, and I played I watched all of Narcos multiple times, and I didn't have a problem with those. So maybe it is just Ghost of Tsushima.
Maybe.
But yeah, anyway, I know I agree with what you're saying as well about the character models. Like, they look really good, especially in those close-ups. Because with the first game, the character models looked a little. You could tell it was very video gamey. They weren't striving for realism. And this is the same aesthetic, but on the close-ups in the trailer, they are really detailed.
They really churn out these games. It's like, there's also a samurai Yakuza game that we never got in America or in the West.
I think that's coming out soon.
Is it?
I think
I don't
so.
think it ever came out. I think it's Japan only.
Yeah, but I think they confirmed that it was. Somebody
Okay.
can fact check it, but I think they confirmed it was coming to the West.
It makes sense because Yakuza is bigger than ever. It used to be a very niche series. This game would never sell like 10 years ago like it does today.
What made Yakuza blow up so much? Was it the remasters? Was it?
I think it was just
Yeah.
6 coming to the. Was it?
It started with 6 coming to here, and then they decided we're gonna put 0 and the Kiwami 1 and 2 here, and then that really blew up, and then they put it on Game Pass.
Gotcha.
So and then Steam. Oh no, they put it on PC. They put it on Steam before Game Pass. So that's when it really took off too, I think. So you had PC and PlayStation gamers, which I think is the majority of the gaming market. So, and then you had a Game Pass to close it out. So everybody has access to it. It's kind of like Kingdom Hearts, where everybody can like play it now. It was like this. Like Kingdom Hearts is not niche, but like it was harder to access back in the day.
No,
Yakuza was only a PlayStation series. And it was like a lot of it was like hard to find, and yeah, it was a very niche series. Not anymore. It's pretty mainstream now.
Great.
Yeah.
I just googled it. Sorry, and it looks like they want to bring it to the West, the Samurai series, but I think the director of that series said that it would take a lot more than just a simple remaster to bring it.
Okay.
Over.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking that for us. Right. Let's move on to another trailer, which I didn't watch this one because I'm trying to avoid spoilers. But Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade.
Yeah.
The final trailer for that releases next month, I think. Which is next month's gonna be a busy month for you. Oof.
1 day before Ratchet & Clank.
Oh Christ alive!
Yeah.
I did
My
not
birthday.
know that.
Yeah,
That
I realized
sucks.
that today. And they were like, releases on June 10th. I was like,
Yeah, this game's gonna wait. Ratchet comes first, and then I'll play this.
I was really
I
looking
don't
forward
know
to.
what I'm doing first. I probably am just gonna try to multitask. It's gonna be like one of those videos where a completely untrained juggler tries to juggle multiple things, and just all of the balls just hit him right on the top of the head.
I try not to.
Yeah.
Sorry, James. I was gonna say I try not to play like 2 very anticipated games at the same time, because then I feel like I want to rush through one of them to get to the other one. So I'm just like, one of them's gonna sacrifice. One of them's just gonna be put to the side. And
For sure, I'm gonna have to.
oh, sorry.
I'm gonna have to do that as well because I was planning on running through Final Fantasy VII again a second time, the main campaign, not the integrated DLC, just because the photo mode. So, but I'm gonna have to. There's no way I can do that and integrate in one day.
And Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to. I'll probably do that too. I'll do Ratchet and Clank, and then Final Fantasy. But sorry, Nate, you were.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm in a very cool position right now, because my kid saw the Ratchet and Clank trailer on YouTube and immediately was just like, "What's that? Let's watch that. What is this?" So she is like super excited about it. I actually took her to GameStop the other day to pre-order it, and she was just over the moon. She's over the moon excited about it. She's watched me play Final Fantasy and like is kind of interested in that, but this is the first video game that she's just been like, "What I need to know what this is," and it's very cool to see. So I'm kind of excited for both because like I can play Ratchet and Clank with her, and then you know like play Final Fantasy VII again after they go to bed.
how old is she?
She'll be 4 later this year.
That's the irony. The irony is that I was 4 years old when 7 came out. So that's when I saw 7 for the first time. I was mind blown. I was like, wow. So
yeah,
kind of irony there.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for both these games, and Intergrade is part of why I was so hyped to get a PS5 to begin with. It's literally this Ratchet and Clank, and then I just wanted the more upscaled versions of certain games. But this is one of the big pillars of why I wanted a PS5.
So, Dory, I know you've watched the new trailer. Did anyone else watch it?
Yep, I did.
I did not.
They didn't really show much.
I don't want to get spoiled. Like
It's a lot of gameplay. I will say if you don't want to know what the boss fights are ahead of time, there are some new boss gameplay. So don't watch it if you don't want that. I don't care. So that doesn't bother me.
Yeah, but if you watched the state of play already, then you saw those bosses. So
Oh yeah,
Oh,
that's right.
okay.
I thought you had only seen one of the bosses, but I guess you've seen both. I didn't
No,
recognize.
not only one of them, but like,
Okay,
but
I
you
was
have an
about to say.
idea of what to expect. Yeah.
For
Okay.
sure. Yeah, it looks graphically amazing. The voice cast sounds good as it does. Gameplay looks really strong and polished as always. Well, not as always, but like before. I mean, I'm super hyped. I'm super hyped.
Yeah, I think people are really gonna dig Yuffie because Yuffie is such a fun character. She's very sassy and
Yeah.
she didn't get enough screen time because she was an optional character in 7. You didn't have to have her in the game to beat the game. So
They've
I just
turned,
played.
to my understanding, they've turned one of the main ways of playing Final Fantasy VII into like a board game or something. I don't have all the details. I didn't play the original, sorry. But you know, they've turned it into some kind of board game that Yuffie can play when she's bored. I don't remember what it's called. Seb, do you remember?
Fort Condor.
Yeah, Fort Condor. It was a thing in Resident Evil 7. I don't remember. I don't know it. Or not Resident Evil 7, I'm sorry. Final Fantasy 7. There's too many 7s. I'm going to Vegas.
No, yeah, 7 was like a mini game where like monsters climb up a mountain and you had to shoot them down or something like that.
It's very bad in the original.
Yeah, it's awful. I think there's one point in the game you have to do it.
Yeah,
but
well,
I think
you don't have to.
You can intentionally
have to do it. Yeah,
you can intentionally lose to rush it just to finish it because there's no penalty of not doing it. But yeah, I hated it.
Well, sort of. You miss out on item, but I just replayed OG7 earlier this year, and I'm kind of excited to see what they do with Yuffie because, like Seb said, she was an optional character. If you have her in your party during OG7, she has some unique dialogue on like what's going on and stuff like that. So I'm kind of excited to see what they do as far as like bringing her into more of the mainline story.
Sorry, I was gonna say, especially since like you get to go to Wutai, like where she's from, and it has a very like Chinese aesthetic or Japanese aesthetic, and there's a whole story arc to that too. So I'm curious if they're gonna do that in this.
It's definitely an interesting way of sort of implementing an optional character in the original as a DLC.
Go ahead, James. Sorry.
They're really pulling a lot of clever tricks like that out of their sleeves for this.
So with her being DLC and obviously optional to buy the DLC, do you think that in part 2 they're going to like have her as a main character and be like, hey, if you didn't play the DLC, like we're not gonna really explain what's going on. You know.
I maybe not. I wouldn't assume so, but maybe. I wouldn't rule it out.
I feel like you probably have to play this, but it's probably gonna be vague where you're not really missing like a big story element. I'm just curious, like if this does really well, are we gonna get a DLC for Vincent? Is like, are we gonna have like because he has a whole story?
I think they said this is it for DLC. I think this is all they're doing, and they're not doing anything else. That's from memory, so.
Okay, because Vincent has a whole. I think he got his own mobile game or something like that.
I think they released a couple mobile games to make up for the fact that some characters aren't going to be fully 3D rendered.
Yeah, because Vincent's one of my favorite characters in the game. So, I guess it's a minor spoiler because they haven't shown him yet, but you guys know who I am. You know who he is, so.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that they mentioned as well, alongside the trailer, is that about part 2 of the remake, which we're all anticipating, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Apparently, it starts right after Intergrade.
Nice. Oh, wow.
It also features Cloud running in the wilderness. That's a direct quote. And apparently also has a different atmosphere from part 1, which makes sense.
It's
part 1 sort of.
Well, it takes place in Midgard for the whole game, and then now we're out in the open world now, so makes sense.
But yeah,
I just want to point out that Wutai has one of the best country slogans of all time. Wutai Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to assume that was like a Wu-Tang Clan reference or something.
James, do you not know the rap group Wu-Tang Clan?
I'm familiar with them, not familiar with their work though. Anyway, let's.
Not really.
Yeah, but without sort of spoiling anything from the original Final Fantasy VII, because some of us haven't played it
Wow.
and would like to go in to part 2 of the remake spoiler free. This is good news.
The open world?
The cloud running in the wilderness, frolicking in the fields.
Of course. I
Yeah,
mean,
etc.
there's tons of towns in the big open world section. Like, you kind of have to, right?
What I'm thinking is like, is this going to be like Final Fantasy 15, where it's like open world now? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you
Probably.
can pick up side quests, and because like
Yeah.
I really liked 15 when I played it, so I'm excited to see.
Well,
like,
they say it features Cloud running in the wilderness. I wonder if that is like you as Cloud can run in the wilderness, or if it's just a cutscene of him literally just running through the wilderness.
Well, in 7, when you're in the open air, like open world, like the map, he's like a little chibi version of himself, and I don't think they're gonna do that because that would look ridiculous.
It'll probably be like
pretty good though.
It'll probably be like Uncharted 4 kind of open style levels.
I think 15 is the safe bet.
And I hope it's. I mean, I love Uncharted 4, but I don't want that from, this.
Sure,
No,
sure.
It's gonna be 15. I think you're gonna have a vehicle you can drive around, things like that. Yeah, I think
I suppose I would not be opposed to that.
Yep.
Right, okay. Well, that's all the Final Fantasy VII stuff. The next thing, the last piece of news for today. This is hot off the presses. If I don't, have you guys been following the Apple versus Epic lawsuit?
Just
Very little. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a humdinger. But they're sort of airing the entire industry's dirty laundry at this thing. They're sort of leaking documents, and one confidential document that was not supposed to be leaked was in relation to Sony's approach to crossplay. So this is from Tom Warren on Twitter, who shared the screenshots of the documents and emails. He says apparently Sony was blocking crossplay on PlayStation in 2018 because it was, and this is a quote from one of the emails, not a slam dunk, no matter the size of the title. Epic was apparently prepared to go out of its way to make Sony look like heroes in regards to crossplay. And apparently Sony had a crossplay revenue share agreement where some partners had to pay a royalty to Sony to offset the reduction in revenue from enabling crossplay. So, in summary, this kind of sucks, and you can tell why they didn't want this going public.
Of course.
So
I mean,
was that
go ahead.
like Jim Ryan wasn't in charge then? That was still Sean
No.
Layden, right?
Yes.
Sean Layden was never. Sean Layden was the head of Worldwide Studios.
Okay.
Jim Ryan's the CEO of PlayStation, I believe.
That was more Andrew House, right?
I can't remember what Andrew House was. I will, if you talk for a minute, I will look it up.
I mean, either way, it's super scummy. I feel like we heard a little bit, like back in 2018, because I remember when Fortnite released, there was like rumors that crossplay between Xbox and Sony was going to happen, and then I thought I remember some talk of just like Sony is not like interested in it. Sony does not want to do it, and all they have to do is just turn on a button and it would work, but they don't want to turn on that button.
Yeah, if I recall, this has been a while, that like they didn't want people signing into Xbox Live on a PlayStation platform or something like that. They were worried about getting hacked or something. Data was going to get Microsoft was going to get their data or something like. And if I remember correctly, this happened like right during E3. So Sony's like big moments got overshadowed by like this big controversy with crossplay. Am I misremembering?
So they were like, everyone wanted them to do crossplay on Fortnite, and they were like, oh, it's not as easy as pushing a button. When in reality, everyone knew they were bullshitting. Everyone knew it was like, oh, you just don't want to do crossplay because it's going to hurt your business. And also, Andrew House was the CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. Okay. I liked Andrew House as much as one could like a CEO of a huge company.
Yep.
But
I agree.
yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks. I mean, yeah, okay, Sony's a business. They need to make money and everything, but at the same time, it really sucks that they wrote up a revenue share agreement where people had to pay a royalty to offset the reduction in revenue for enabling crossplay. So essentially, people would need to pay Sony to if they wanted to enable crossplay for inconveniencing them, which is kind of like everyone wants crossplay. It's a good thing for the industry. It's healthy. Just do it. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
thing is like that's was that before? No, that was after the release of like God of War. So like Sony is just like pumping out these awesome exclusives and stuff. So really there wasn't any reason in my mind for them to be like no, because if people still want to play like God of War, Uncharted 4, like all the exclusives, they still have to purchase a PS4. So it's not like they were going to lose out on that. Like they weren't. It's not like, oh, now you can play God of War on your Xbox. Like it just feels like they were just like trying to keep the coals of the console wars alive by just being like, no, we
Yeah.
don't play nice with the competitor.
Which is ironic because today more Sony games are going to PC now. So it's kind of ironic. Like maybe I don't know if there's a change in philosophy or if they're just I don't know, they're just being shady for no reason. I don't know.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess you can think of it like them putting games on PC gives them an added revenue stream. For when like maybe a game like Horizon Zero Dawn has slowed down in revenue, so they put it on PC, they get a boost. But with crossplay, their general thinking seemed to be that there was no way that it directly benefited them from a profiting perspective.
Right.
Because one of the things that I don't have it up, so I can't quote it, but one of the things in one of the emails was essentially that they couldn't. There was a bunch of developers sort of proposing crossplay, and not a single one of them could tell them how it benefited Sony to enable crossplay. So, but I mean, it's good PR, right? I mean, and they eventually realized that.
Yeah, I mean, like we've been saying, like, Sony's a business first, and I get if it's not making the money, then they're going to be disinclined to do it. But, like, look, Sony, you've been a corporation for I don't even know how long, 20, 30 years at this point, maybe more, 40, because of the Walkman and all that stuff. I just, like, I don't see how it's going to so tank your profits that you can't come around. I mean, especially because video game companies have been making record profits for the past year because of COVID. And just in general, the PS5 coming out, the Xbox One. I mean, you can look at it from a business perspective, but at the same time, it's like there's no real reason they couldn't afford the loss that they would get.
Right. It's like what we talked about a couple weeks ago when they reversed the decision on the PS3 and the Vita store. That like, sure, maybe they're losing money, maybe there's not a great profit in it, but it's not worth the controversy and the backlash. Sometimes good optics is worth the losing a little money. Like I can understand if you're really losing money, then yeah. But if it's like a little thing, it's not worth like everybody on Twitter or everybody like Reddit and every internet forum just like complaining about you, and all the big media like outsources are complaining about you. It's just not worth it. So
yeah, they need to find that balance. Like, you've got Microsoft absolutely destroying them in terms of public appearance. Like everyone loves what Microsoft is doing. Everyone loves Phil Spencer. But clearly Sony's doing better in terms of the quality of their products and the money they're making.
Absolutely.
But they seem to be in this mindset where they're on top, so everything needs to be a bit profit first. They don't seem to have much of a consideration for PR until after the fact.
No, and that's not going to change, especially since Jim Ryan is a businessman first and foremost, more than probably any of the other people that have been in charge. Like he's his, and like I said, PS5 is just the numbers they put up right now are like record breaking for them. So this goes back to what I said a couple weeks ago that like they're gonna have record-breaking numbers, but we're gonna suffer and like on bad decisions, and they're not gonna care because they're making a ton of money. You know what I mean? You kind of want them to not sell as well because that's the only way. Money is the only way that gets people to change their decisions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Nintendo had like, for example, I don't want to go on a tangent, but Nintendo changed their whole business model to the Switch because the Wii U bombed so badly. You know what I mean? Like they were heading in such a bad direction that they had to sit back and be like, okay, what do we do? And then, you know what I mean? And that's what happened to PS3. PS3 sold really well. It did outsell the 360 after a while because Sony's a bigger brand, but still was a big disappointment. I mean, PS2 was the highest selling console of all time, and the PS3 didn't even sell 100 million. And then they had to go back, change their whole architecture. That's what money is what drives the industry.
And that's when the thing is, when you're on the back foot, that's when it seems that these companies, they start trying more interesting things. That's what like Microsoft's doing now. That's what Sony was doing in the PS3 generation, funding more indie games like Journey and what have you.
Yes.
So, and that's where interesting stuff comes from. So it's a shame that we're not seeing that from Sony at the moment. And they're focusing on trying to keep their train rolling.
Absolutely. That's why people need to stop with the console war nonsense. Like competition is great for the industry. Otherwise we'll get complacent, monopoly Sony, and the industry would be horrible. It'd be a bad place. And the same thing with Microsoft was in charge, same if Nintendo was in charge. All these companies are not your friends, so.
And it's that thing that we talked about a few weeks ago as well, where they said that they are going to start focusing on bigger games and rolling those out more, and they're not going to fund smaller projects as much.
I think looking back on it now, it might have been a huge exaggeration. I do think we'll probably still get double A's and little indies like Sony exclusive games. Maybe they're just not going to put like a lot of advertisement or something in them, but I don't think we're just going to get like God of War every year, like on that level. I mean, we might have all exaggerated like the.
You know what? I reckon that they're trying to build. I reckon they're trying to build studios like Housemarque and Bend Studio. I reckon they're trying to build them up to that level, so that they can have more God of Wars and more The Last of Us Part 2s.
Yeah,
I don't think games like Returnal are them just saying, okay, we can still try weird stuff. I think that's them saying, okay, let's get these guys on a bigger budget and see what they can do. Yeah,
but I agree with you. But I think you could do like a cartoony looking game with a bigger budget, like Ratchet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not saying they can be on the level of Insomniac, but you get what I'm saying. You get them the money, maybe they can get on this level of this cartoony platformer game that's really good. You know what I mean? What a nice budget. So.
For sure.
I mean, it will be interesting to see like James mentioned with Returnal, like how Cells kind of dictates what Housemarque does next.
Yeah.
You know, or like what Sony lets them do next.
Yeah, if they don't come out and say anything, then because companies love to brag. So if you don't see like, oh my God, this sold 5 to 10 million units.
But the thing that really gets on my tits is the Days Gone sequel. Wow, that's an expression. The Days Gone sequel thing where everyone was mad that they didn't get a sequel for that. The thing that annoys me more is when a game does well and they think, okay, we need to make a sequel for this now. It feels like companies these days have a harder time letting products stand on their own and say like, okay, one is fine, that's enough. If it sells well, they're all saying, okay, we need a sequel to this, we need to keep profiting off of this.
Kind of like The Last of Us.
Yeah, sure, kind of like The Last of Us. Maybe, but no, yeah, you know what I mean. Like it's that thing. It's all about the cash is king.
We all do it. Like we all say, oh, I don't want like 10 God of War games, and then what happens? We're all first in line.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just how it goes. It's just how it is. I don't want a Last of Us remake, but I'll pre-order it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna play it.
Deluxe edition. Day one. Yeah.
They're gonna Sony is literally just gonna show a clip of this podcast, and they're gonna point to you, Sev, and say, "See,
it's true."
That's gonna be the first ad for it.
People are literally celebrating a Wii game coming out for $60, and they're gonna buy it day one. It's gonna sell 15 million copies.
Probably
Just how it goes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's practically a new game because nobody had a Wii U.
That's fair, but I get what I'm saying.
One person had it. Were you the one?
I was the one.
You were the one. I never had a. I didn't have a Wii U, but every Wii U game that came out, I bought it on the Switch, like every single port, because I never played them. They're new games to me. But I guess I'm part of the problem. But I'm talking more about the people that played on the Wii U and they're just rebuying all these games just because. I don't know, but
that's fine. We should move on.
For sure.
To we have a community question this week. This is from Rob, from Draft Punks. He was on last week, and he asks, "Do you all think that Housemarque should patch in the ability to save progress in the middle of a run in Returnal, so that it can be continued even after closing the game or powering down the console?" This seems like an open and shut case. I think they should do that.
I think so.
100% they should. I will tell you the two things that are keeping me from playing Returnal right now. One, that price point. That's fine. I'll just wait. Number two, that save thing. I cannot. Look, I know some people are like, well, it doesn't take me that long to do a run, but like, I'm not losing my data of an hour run. Like, you know, I heard somebody else say this, and I'm very similar. I have ADHD brain. Like, I will just forget that I have a given app open, and I will open a different app, and then bam, Returnal will be gone. I will lose a lot of data. I don't even like leaving my PS5 in rest mode to begin with, because I get nervous about like issues with the PS5. Ironically, it is in rest mode right now, I think. But like generally, I try not to do that because I've heard of console errors with rest mode. So yeah, 100%. Like, and people have been getting about like, oh, this is about difficulty in games. It's like, no, it's just like, this is about, and I'm quoting Jim Sterling here, but this is about games respecting your goddamn time. Like, you know, and it's nothing against Returnal. Returnal looks amazing. I kind of want to play it, which is a big praise to Housemarque, because I'm not a roguelite person. I've only played Hades, and we don't talk about Hades anymore. The fact that the fact that I'm even tempted to pick up this game is huge. Because I'm not big into roguelites, but they've got to fix this.
I totally agree. Like, I've been in the opinion of that, like, developers should make the game they want to make. But that's only when it comes to mechanics, like making a game difficult. Like, I don't like, but even a Souls game, I'd saves like every 2 seconds. You know what I mean? Not having the ability to save is ridiculous. Like because my power could go out, you can have a crash, and I have plenty of games where I played my PS5 crashes on me. It's not like a super consistent problem, but it definitely happens. Like, especially when I was playing Cyberpunk. So, I definitely want this. Like, this is like Dory said. There's two things keeping me from playing this game versus the price for a roguelite game, and two is playing a super hard game where I can like have an awesome run, get a badass gun, and then boom, my PS5 crashes on me, or the game crashes on me. I would get so frustrated with that game, I would probably stop playing it.
I would die in real life. I wouldn't even die in the game. I would cease to be.
Yeah,
like, I would never go back to that game.
Because this is not like us forcing the developer to change their whole game. This is more of like just convenience for people. You know what I mean?
Quality of life. Like, I mean,
quality of life. Yeah.
And it's nonsensical as well, if you ask me. Because I was saying this to Mitch the other day. You know, you don't have to. It doesn't have to compromise the game. You just have to have a system where it auto saves every now and then, so that if you quit the game, for any reason, you can jump back in, and the only way that it actually resets your progress is if you die, and they can do that easily.
Yeah, they can easily, and they haven't done it. The 1.3.3 fix or whatever the hell just came out. They haven't done anything about it. I haven't heard anything about Housemarque doing it. That doesn't mean they're not going to eventually. Maybe they will. I have some amount of faith that they will. But like, look, you know, some people are saying, oh, well, then people are going to save scum and they're going to cheat. I don't care. Fucking let them. This is video games. Like, just let people have fun. Like, Disco Elysium is one of my favorite games of all time, and you can save on almost every single point, and I definitely saved scummed a few times, but you know what? It made me enjoy the game more. I love the game more for it, and I wasn't like, oh no, we must protect the sanctity of video games. Like, stop it.
But even if you are worried about people save scumming, you can work around that. Like, you just make the saves inaccessible, to the player, so you can't load them manually. You have to. The only way the save will get loaded is if you quit the game and log back in and press continue game or whatever. And also, if you're worried about people sort of seeing, dying and then force quitting the game so that it doesn't register you. I'm pretty sure the PS5 is advanced enough where it can save in an instant quicker than anyone could force quit.
I like Resident Evil. I will say Resident Evil 8, like when you are at that typewriter and it saves, it's like that. It's 0.1 seconds. And when I started up Resident Evil 8, since I quit last night and I shut off my PS5, 30 seconds, maybe less, to get back into the game. I mean, I was floored. So yeah, there's all sorts of ways, especially with the PS5, and which Returnal is built for specifically, to handle autosaves. Anyway, Nate.
I was gonna say Dark Souls on PS3 did it where, like, if you were falling down and you like closed the app, it just like, and then you restarted it, it was like, okay, you were falling down, so that's where you're gonna continue at. Like, they figured it out how to do it, so I don't see like you guys are saying, I don't see how Housemarque hasn't doesn't just put an autosave in where it's like, okay, you died to this enemy, like when you reload the game you're going to die to this enemy again. Like there's you can't
100%.
get out of that situation.
There's no reason they shouldn't have this at all. I don't see an argument.
Look, if we can get a podcast of 4 gamers with usually disparate opinions to all agree very quickly on this one thing, I think we got a home run.
Yeah, I never agree with you guys.
Yeah, I don't ever fucking agree with Deb or Nate. What the fuck is even Nate doing here? I hate him.
I don't think I've ever. Honestly, I think I've agreed on Dory on like pretty much everything, and James and I have very different tastes. But I think when it comes to like the industry, I think we always agree. Like I think we have very similar tastes in like how we view something. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah,
what's gonna be? Sorry, what would be funny is if like after Returnal's been out for a while, Housemarque is just like, oh yeah, the reason we don't have that is because it's actually tied to a story mechanic later in the game. Like, sorry, we didn't tell anyone.
Yeah, they better off just not saying anything in that point. Although if they do this like a year later, and people start saying, "Oh, well, I beat the game before this," I can't stand that. Like,
it's gonna happen. They did that.
I hate gatekeeping when people do like.
That happened in Dark Souls too, where like there was an area that was just like notoriously difficult, and then FromSoft went in and like moved some enemy patterns around, and then I know like on some of the Reddit threads I saw after that, they were like, "Oh, I did it," and it's like doesn't mean everyone can.
Yeah, because there's a difference between a hard game and just bad mechanics. That needs to be fixed. You know what I mean? Something can be hard because it's bad mechanically and it has to be fixed. Like, doesn't mean just because you did it and you were glutton for punishment and you sat doing this section for 40 hours doesn't like, I mean, you can't gatekeep games like that.
Look, I banged my head up against the wall with Kingdom Hearts 3 data bosses on Critical, and I just would never recommend that to someone just because I did it. You know how long that shit took me? It took me like months of coming back to the game and balancing school and balancing life. And yeah, I did it, but like I wouldn't be like, oh, you have to play it on Critical. It's the only way to fight these bosses. Like, fight on beginner if you want to. Like, whatever makes you have a good time.
Yeah, exactly. The only thing I like tend to maybe disagree on people on is that like I don't think Souls games should have an easy mode if they don't want to. Like that, I don't want them to be forced that they have to. That's where I tend to disagree on people, but I don't have a problem if they do, though. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't affect me in any way. So that's all. That's where I just disagree with people on. Like, as long as they're not forced to. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, that's all. That's where I stand.
That's
on
a
that.
reasonable. That's a reasonable take. We should move on and not open that particular can of worms to this week's game, which is once again we're coming around to 20 questions. So Seb, you're going to take us to this one again?
Yes. So how it goes, you guys probably already know, but you have 20 questions to guess the game. They're only yes or no, nothing obscure, and they're only on PlayStation platform. So I'm not going to throw you Halo or Nintendo game or anything like that. So there you go. So you guys can start. I'll count.
All right.
I'll count.
Sure.
On the camera.
Yes, that's how this works. We ask you questions.
Do we want to go around? Do we want to go in a certain order, or do we want to just group?
Let's just group up.
Okay, group up.
It would go off for 2 hours if it was a one against one.
Right. Oof. Let's start off with an easy one then. Was it developed in the West?
No,
It's always a Japanese game with this guy. I swear.
that's
Can
true.
you play it on
he
a
watches anime.
PS5?
Can you play on a PS5? Yes, you could. Yes, you could actually.
Okay, that makes me think it's not a PS5 game, but you could play it on
Yeah.
PS5.
It's either a
Um,
PS5 game or a remaster remake.
Now,
kind of deal.
if you guys solve these quickly, then we'll probably do another one then, because sometimes you can solve it in like 2 minutes. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we go.
Is it a let's see. Let me see. Thing. Did it come out between 2000 and 2010?
Yes.
Nailing it so far, y'all.
Was it published by Square Enix? I feel like I'm asking the exact same questions I asked last time.
Yes. Well,
Is
you
it
guys-
a
you
Final?
went there last time.
Is it a Final Fantasy game?
Yes.
Does it have a physical box?
Yes.
Okay.
Which Final Fantasy games? Is it Final Fantasy X?
Yes.
Hey!
Wow! Hey!
Sometimes this game goes fast. Sometimes
I was leaning either 10 or 12.
Be
like-
less predictable.
so I guess we'll do 3 then, because these ones will get a little tougher. All right.
Okay.
So there we go.
I keep waiting for you to do something.
No,
But
no,
okay,
no.
Sarah, we need to do that.
Yeah, it's
Um,
on us, James. It's on us.
All right, who wants to ask the first question this time then?
What's the title of the game?
Right. I'm just gonna count that as 10.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Right. Is it part of a larger franchise?
Yes.
A larger franchise than what?
I don't know.
Okay. Good.
Is it part of a larger franchise, like a Yakuza game
I know,
or
I
Kingdom
was-
Hearts game? Oh,
That was a poor attempt at a joke.
oh, that's fine. Okay. Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, was it developed in Japan?
No.
Okay. Progress.
I play Western games too.
Okay. What's the one Western game Seb plays?
That's actually an easy. If you know me, that's an easy.
Oh
question.
wait, is it part of the Resident Evil franchise?
That's
Oh, wait, no,
Japanese.
that's
That's
Japanese. What am I
Japanese.
saying? I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying.
I'm
sorry.
very predictable.
Don't
so
count that. Don't count that.
You guys are gonna think of Resident Evil, Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
stuff.
no, I just thought of Resident Evil because I was like, Sab Resident Evil. Yeah,
Yeah. I would never do Resident Evil. It's never gonna be Resident Evil because it's just too easy for you.
yeah, for sure. Okay, so it's part of a larger franchise, not developed in Japan. Was it developed in the United States?
Yes. Well, let me see. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that rules out pretty much anything made by Ubisoft.
Yeah, I'll give you that. Yep.
It
No,
certainly
Ubis-
rules out Assassin's Creed.
Does it have more than 3 games in the franchise?
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking maybe Ratchet and Clank comes to mind, but it could be a million different things at
Yeah,
this
it
point.
certainly could.
Just think of like genres, the years, things like that.
Is it a platformer?
No.
Is it a PlayStation 4 game?
No.
Is it a PlayStation 3 game?
Yes. It can be played on 4. I'll give you that hint.
Is it a shooter?
Kind of.
Okay, kind of.
Is it a shooter? Yes.
Okay.
It's a PlayStation 3 game that can be played on PlayStation 4.
Yes.
That's got to narrow it down. There's not a lot of PS3 games that can be played on PS4.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you that
Shame.
hint.
Were any of the Resistance games able to be played on PS4?
No.
Okay.
Much
I
to
thought,
my
I thought
dismay.
Seb was pulling. I thought Seb was pulling a fast one on us and picking Resistance.
My fingers hurt doing like 8, so I'm at 8.
Okay, PlayStation 3 game that can be played on PlayStation 4. Developed in
Come on, guys.
America.
No genres
What?
out. Come on.
Is it
Nate,
an
you got
RPG?
anything?
Was it made before the year 2009?
Yes, 9.
Wait, which question were you saying yes to?
Was it made before 2009? Yes.
Oh.
What was your question, James?
Is it an RPG?
Yes.
RPG before 2000. Hang on. Is it Skyrim?
If you get it wrong, you lose the game automatically. So discuss with the team.
Wait.
Is that considered a shooter? I mean, I know you can shoot a bow and arrow, but
Oh, well, you said it's an RPG.
It's
Yeah.
a shooter and an RPG.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
And Skyrim was
That-
2011.
That's action RPG.
Strike
for
Skyrim
you.
Oh,
from
no!
the guess.
Dory literally plays Outer Worlds, so
Yeah, that's an action RPG. That's
Alright,
that's Outer Worlds. That's Fallout. That's Mass Effect.
Hang on, Borderlands was 2008, wasn't it?
Yeah, but let's not go for the jugular yet.
I know, but let's hash
Yeah.
this out. So Borderlands was
Sure.
2008, I think.
You can play that on
Developed.
PS4.
You can play it on PS4. It's a PS3 game developed in Texas.
was it
There's
developed-
3 games. There's 4 games total in the series.
Yes,
was it developed in Texas?
it was. Gearbox is in Texas.
No. It's 11.
Oh, I wasn't asking, but okay. I guess we know
Oh.
it's not. I guess that rules out Borderlands.
Now I know it's not in Texas.
That counts as a question. So.
Okay. First-person shooter
Is it-
RPG. Wait, hang on.
Does it? Yeah.
But it can't be Far Cry because those are
No.
developed in. Does Ubisoft have any studios in America?
Oh, Ubisoft? I don't think so.
Yeah, but the only one that would, I think Far Cry 2 is 2009, but you can't play that on PS4.
Yeah, that's not really an RPG either. Right.
Oh,
PS3,
this is
PS4.
tough.
You're gonna feel stupid when I say it.
Does it have aliens in the game?
Yes, it does.
Dead Space isn't an RPG, is it? And you
No.
can't play that on PS4.
It's got to be. I think it's one of the Mass Effect games. That's not my guess, by the way. I'm just talking out loud.
Okay, hang on, let's.
Oh,
Are there story-based choices in this game?
Yes.
Okay, it's got to be. Well, it doesn't have to be, but I think it is.
Well, hang on. So
think
Aliens,
you're right. I think you're
PS3 game, playable on PS4.
It would
Well,
have to
he
be.
said-
It
he
would
said-
have to be Mass Effect 2 because 1 didn't come out for PS3 until after 2 was released.
And he said it's kind of playable on PS4, which
Yeah.
makes me think, okay, it's gonna be playable on PS4 in like a week.
Yeah, like a week.
Um,
Yeah.
So maybe that's what he was meaning.
Yeah.
So, all right. Can we ask a question that's going to differentiate between the 3 of these games, or?
Well, I mean, you can rule out Mass Effect 3 because that was 2012. I feel like you can rule out Mass Effect 1 because that didn't come out till like 2013, I don't think, and that was digital only on PS3.
But would Seb take that into account?
I think so because like
Okay, well, we have.
I don't know.
We've got questions to spare, right?
Yeah.
You're on 13. You got 7 questions.
Does it have
Okay.
a physical box when it released on PS3? It does?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's 2 then.
I'm gonna. Which
Okay,
year?
well,
Which
wait
year?
a
Hang on.
second.
Which year
Yeah.
did Mass Effect 2 release?
I think that was 2009. I think the first one released in 2007, and I believe the second one released in 2009.
Was it released in 2009?
Was that a question?
Uh-huh.
No.
Oh shit! Well,
Mass
don't
Effect
listen to
2
me.
came out in 2010.
Okay, was it released in 2010?
No, because you guys already asked that, didn't you? Like it's between 2000.
Yeah, it was developed before 2009.
Oh.
I won't count that.
Mass Effect.
5 more.
Oh my god.
I
No.
mean, unless you know
You're
he's
still
just
stupid.
taking original release date into account and not considering the 2013 release date.
Fuck it. Go Action Bass.
One of these days, I want to actually do that one.
There are aliens in it. It's an action RPG. It's before 2010. You can get it on the PS4. It was made in the United States.
You said there were story-based sequences, right? Or story-based choices?
The story-based choices, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it can't be Resistance because
you can't play that on PS4. Oh, unless can you play Resistance on PS now?
You can.
Yes, you can. Yes.
But it doesn't have story-based choices.
I think 3 is only on there though. Resistance 3. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Do you
I think you might be right.
Do you explore planets in this game?
No.
Okay.
Or more.
It's not Mass Effect. There's no way.
Oh my god. Wait.
No, you can't.
Wait, what about the Red Faction games? Do they have aliens?
Not gonna be obscure, he said.
I'll give you the hint. Don't focus so much on the alien part.
I feel like this is a dead set. I feel like this is like Borderlands all over, but you said it's not developed in Texas.
Borderlands goes to different planets and stuff. So.
Well, the first one doesn't.
Not the first one.
Okay. But it's still a different alien planet, so it's not an alien planet.
Oh, so it's Earth.
I'll give you that hint. Yeah. You guys
okay.
You guys have been circling around it. You've done everything but this franchise.
Oh, we're just trying to even it out because we did the first one so quickly.
I can't say because I would give it away, but come on, guys, you guys got it.
I got nothing.
You guys give up?
Wait, no,
I'm not giving up quite yet.
This can't be Destiny because.
How many questions do we have left?
4.
4? Is it a PS3 exclusive?
No, 3.
Okay.
It is a multi-plat.
Multi-platform.
Does it have multiplayer?
No.
2
more.
Nobody makes games in America.
Oh my god, guys.
This shouldn't be too difficult to know. I mean, okay, what kind of games does Seb play? He plays. It's an RPG with shooting. How many RPGs with shooting can there be?
I could only think of Mass Effect and Borderlands-ish.
It's got to be one of the Fallout games.
That would line up with his sort of. It's not aliens.
Yeah.
Well, he said there are aliens.
Well, yeah, that's what he said. Not to focus on the aliens, though.
I'm not. I was just thinking that you Fallout.
But those aren't aliens. Those are like mutants.
Mutate. Yeah.
What are we at? 17.
Fallout 3 would
no,
make
2 more. 18.
Was it developed in Maryland?
No, hang on, because isn't.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay, we only have one question. James, what are you saying? And then Nate, what are you saying?
Well, I was going to say, isn't Bethesda in Texas?
I don't.
Not that
they
one.
might have a studio.
Because I don't have like a map.
But their main studio is in Maryland.
Okay. It is, and that's not in Texas.
I don't believe so. I'm really bad at geography, but I don't believe so.
You're probably better at American geography than I am.
Yeah, one question. So you guys are on the right track.
The right track.
Yeah, just you guys are like, just say it.
I think it's Fallout 3. I'm gonna guess Fallout 3.
What do you guys think?
Well, he said it was. He said Maryland, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Bethesda's really the only studio I know from Maryland that released a RPG shooter.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just say Fallout 3. Fuck it.
James, you agree?
Yeah.
The answer is Fallout 3.
Yay!
The last
Dory really said Fallout like 15 minutes ago. I was like, oh, she got it. I was like, and then no, you guys went on this Mass Effect like
Well,
tangent.
the alien question.
Fallout 3 has a
Oh.
Fallout 3 does have aliens. There's a DLC where you go on a mothership and fight aliens.
Oh.
I was telling you guys not to focus on the alien part as much,
Okay.
but I knew that would be a tricky.
Down to the wire.
Yeah. So
I don't believe we have lost one of these yet.
I was hoping you would get that one wrong, but
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So you want to do another one, or is that?
No, I think that's probably.
I think that's it. That's good. We're on a good streak. Let's not ruin it.
Yeah, quite well we're ahead. So yeah, just to wrap us up here, that's the end of the show. So Nate, thanks again for joining us. Great to have you on once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
100%. Do you have anything that you want to plug or shout out?
I do. I want to plug and shout out. I have a really good friend of mine. He streams. He just made Twitch affiliate. His Twitch is twitch.tv/ambientpotato. He streams some Pokemon Nuzlocke runs. He might be streaming Returnal tonight. I voted for him to buy Resident Evil 8, and he said, please, I don't want to pay money right now. But so yeah, go give him a follow. Check out his content. I think his Nuzlocke runs are really good because he starts doing well, and then he gets overconfident, and life knocks him down a peg, and it's always funny to watch.
So Nuzlocke is when you don't.
That is when you capture one Pokemon in an area, and it's the first Pokemon that you see. And if you accidentally kill that Pokemon, you cannot catch any Pokemon in that area.
Yeah, and then all deaths are final. So when Pokemon faint, they just
can't revive them.
I see.
You have to put them to sleep. Yep.
There was one run. I don't remember what Pokemon he had, but he was doing just amazing. This was like his all-star Pokemon, and he took it into a fight, and then it just wiped, and he was like, I guess I lose here because all of my other Pokemon are lower leveled.
It's like Old Yeller. You just gotta take it out back and pull the trigger.
Great. So, not great.
On that dark note.
Yeah, heads with that Twitch URL one more time.
Oh yeah, that's twitch.tv ambient potato.
Great, incredible. And where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at @Inarada_, where I post dumb jokes and I almost said reviews of my kids, but that's not true. Just fun stories of them.
My 4-year-old's into Ratchet and Clank. What a loser!
Nerd alert.
Yeah, I don't know if you've listened to this podcast before, but we like dumb jokes.
That's
so
good. I have one. So.
Right now?
Okay. Yeah, it's my favorite joke I've ever heard. Someone at work told me it, and I was like, that's so good. So a man walks into a bar, and he sees a piece of meat hanging from the ceiling. And he looks at the bartender, and he goes, what's up with that piece of meat? And the bartender says, well, if you can jump up and hit the meat, everyone in the bar gets a free round of drinks. But if you miss, you have to buy everyone in the bar a round of drinks. And the guy kind of ponders it, and then he finds a booth and sits down. And the bartender goes, you're not even going to try? And he says, no, the stakes are too high.
Oh, wow.
Good stuff.
I thought you were going to go with the classic, a man walks into a bar and he falls over.
That's pretty good.
Right. On that note, if you liked this podcast, give us if you watch the YouTube version, then please throw a like on the video.
Hit the like button.
Hit the
Stop what you're doing. Hit the like button.
Hit that bell.
Now.
Leave a review.
I command you.
Do
Get
all
by tall women.
Do all those things. Yeah. Thanks for watching or listening, because podcasts are for listening to. Also, even though for some reason most people seem to watch the YouTube version of this, I'm not sure why. What is wrong with you?
That should be your slogan.
Look at us. Seriously?
Podcasts are also listening to.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So on that note, we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.